This is a free sample of the book, Never Ghosted Again, The Art of Being Irresistible, by Cairo, Copeland. The first half of this book is posted right here on YouTube, free for everyone to listen to. If you like this content and want to hear or read the rest, or want to listen to it free of ads, visit reinventideal.com/ghosted. The book is available on Kindle, paperback, and Audible at reinventideal.com/ghosted. Chapter 10. Sexual Intelligence. When her beauty and her body is all you can think about, you must learn to govern your passions. They will be your undoing, says the wise and erudite Mr. Spock. There is also another inclination besides the inner voice that you must have dominion over. This one is not a voice, as it is silent, but it is far more powerful. It uses the forces of biology to control your thoughts and feelings. It takes very little to set it off, and the world we live in is full of such triggers. This inclination is your sexual urges, a form of deep, intrapersonal intelligence that is not talked about, despite the rise in interest for emotional intelligence, is what the author would like to call sexual intelligence. If emotional intelligence is the ability to call into question and control bursting emotions, screaming for attention, then sexual intelligence is the ability to do the same for your urges. It's odd that in today's world, where screams of rape culture and Me Too populate the headlines, there is little said or done to encourage the proliferation of sexual intelligence and self-control. We're expected to either just have it or figure it out on our own. But this expectation is far too unrealistic. As a male, when you see a female you find attractive, everything within your biology from your blood to your bones is screaming at you, you must have this. You must touch her everywhere. You must see the rest of her undressed. You must fuck her to your heart's content. The body says we must have her, and when we cannot, the ensuing reaction is like taking drugs away from an addict. You may have seen it yourself when a beautiful girl is trolled on social media. The scenario is, she posts a sexy picture of herself, revealing quite a bit of skin, and it gets the attention of many guys. Some even message her with the expectation that she posted the picture as an advertisement, like, "Hey boys, here's something you can have." She may either ignore their messages or give them a hard reject, and that is where the outburst reaction occurs, one similar to what you'd see if you flushed a Vicodin addict's pills down the toilet in front of him. This, by the way, does nothing to help gender relations that are already hanging by a thread. Insults and sometimes even threats are hurled at her. Intentionally or not, she triggered their biological reactions with her sex appeal, getting these guys all riled up. Then, when she turned them down, the rug was pulled out from underneath them. It's like foreplay with no sex to follow. Sexual intelligence starts at the very beginning, when you come across the sight that you find sexually appealing and your biology is triggered. It is at that moment that you must start to question the urges and cross-examine them like you do with the inner voice. The sooner you do this, when you see something sexy, the less power it will hold over you. This is not to say that there is anything wrong with your attraction or arousal. There is absolutely nothing wrong with being turned on by beauty, and there is not a single solid reason to ever feel shame for it. The reason this chapter is hammering so hard on controlling the urges is because letting them run wild can lead to more serious problems down the road. Having the ability to cap them early on will also make your sexual experiences more pleasant, because during them, you can release yourself of the mental discipline it takes to restrict arousal. And finally, the greater the control you have over your sex drive, the more irresistible you are to women. Locker room talk, porn addiction, and objectification are all turnoffs to women, but not because of some puritanical preference. They are not angels that are holier than thou. If anything, their sex drive is higher than yours. They have a sex organ, the clitoris, made specifically for pleasure, and it contains more nerve endings than the entirety of your genitalia. The reason they are turned off by your lack of control over your urges is because it shows weakness. Arousal, stimulation, and eventual climaxing all feels wonderful, and it is something that's meant to be enjoyed, not shamed out of existence. But so too is eating ice cream. It tastes amazing and gives you a full feeling. However, indulging in it constantly shows a lack of discipline and self-respect, and it will only lead to greater consequences down the road. Instead of delayed gratification, It gives you a delayed disaster that will later blow up in your face. This is something that was meant to be enjoyed in moderation, or within certain context, like celebration. The same can also be said about overindulging in sexual behavior. The constant gazing on sexually arousing visuals and endless masturbatory sessions will burn out the dopamine receptors in the brain and numb the nerve endings in the genitals. This will make future sexual activity less enjoyable, and future arousal more difficult to achieve. There are two methods of gaining control of the urges. One is to act on them so often that you're numb to them. But the long-term damaging effects of this method make it useless. The point of controlling sexual urges is to have more pleasant sexual experiences in the future. How can that be achieved when you are numb to arousal? The second method is to slam on the brakes immediately when you feel the urges, and this is the better of the two methods. It is well known how much satisfaction can come when delayed gratification is finally realized. Now, also consider how much satisfaction can be born out of delayed arousal and stimulation. Try it yourself. Go 30 days without masturbating, and then see how wonderful it feels to finally do it on the 31st day. Or, even better, how wonderful sex feels after. Just grazing hands with your woman will be enough to get you rock hard. When the urge arises, you can summon the help of your defense attorney again in a scene like this. Your biology shouts at you, "Oh my God, did you see the body on that woman? It's so amazing. I must have her." Your defense says, "Sure you do, but you don't know anything about this woman yet. She could be totally psycho, or a gold digger, or a really well-transitioned transsexual. Must you imagine yourself fucking her before knowing if any of these things are true?" Your biology says, "But her body, it's just so impossible not to think about it and crave. I could stare at it and feel it all day. It's really all I can think about right now, and I really do need her." Your defense, "We're in public right now, so that's not going to happen. And what evidence is there to support the thesis that you need her?" Biology, "Her boobs and butt, just look at them." Your defense, "Again, you don't know anything about her other than what she looks like. So how then can you say you want her? What you really want is only to be seen with her, which is the hallmark of every douchebag guy out there that treats women like shit." Biology, "But it's all right for me because I'm a good guy and I need her." Your defense, "Every douchebag guy out there uses the same rationalization for himself. I still see no evidence of why you need her. You lived your entire life, up until now, just fine while not even knowing she exists. Why do you need her now?" Biology, "I don't know, I just do." Your defense, "You are a strong force, biology, and come in use often. But my client is not a slave to you. Sexually appealing as this woman is, gathering more information is necessary to determine whether my client actually needs her. He needs to know if she's psycho, if she's a gold digger, or if, in fact, she was female by birth. Furthermore, he knows that whatever this woman is, she's someone's daughter, she's someone's sister, she's someone's best friend, and in this day and age, probably someone's mother. Your services are not needed at this time. No further questions, Your Honor. The above demonstration is not to generalize that all men are sex-crazed pigs on the verge of committing rape at the sight of an appealing woman, but you know how easy it is for your mind to think sexual thoughts. You do it without even trying, and if these thoughts are not put in check, they can spiral out of control and haunt you long after the sight of her is gone. Further, these thoughts can bleed into your demeanor, making you extra nervous and unattractive around her. It's funny how everything in our natural body chemistry tells us that we must have the woman in bed, but the cultural conditioning and iron-penned imperatives of society tells you that you should be ashamed of yourself for even thinking that. Then there's also media messages telling you that you are inadequate if you cannot get it, which is what causes you to act nervous. But this level of self-control and confidence that gratification will come later is something that women can't help but be attracted to. Some will say this is an impossible discipline to master, due to the prevalence of pornography and sexual images everywhere. But do you see the difficulty in the opportunity, or the opportunity in the difficulty? The easy access to porn and sexually arousing visuals gives you plenty of opportunities to practice this skill, and even better, practice in private. Try it for yourself. Watch the most arousing porn you've ever encountered, and while the scene is getting sexier, conduct that exercise in your head of questioning your urges as they arise. The more you do this, the more powerful you become. When you do come face to face with a woman that is as sexy as a porn star in person, and have such great control over your urges that there's not a hint of nervousness or discomfort within you, she will notice. She's used to men fawning over her, acting like nervous wrecks, or worse yet, blatantly objectify her. But when you can interact with her like two normal human beings, she will be fascinated and wonder how you could be so different. The seed of attraction is planted, because you may end up being the first person that can see her for who she really is, behind the beauty. And that is what all humans want, especially women. That is what they really want. Best of all, when you have control of your urges, the sex you do have is more satisfying. The joy of it comes more effortlessly, because all you have to do is let down your guard of your urges, and your biology does the rest. Like a dragon released from its cage and onto the battlefield. Your sensitivity to stimulation is heightened, and the ability to get and stay aroused is intensified. Additionally, she'll be far more comfortable being sexual with you, and will show you a side to her that she's comfortable showing that to you, now because she knows you're in control of yourself. She'll dress more scantily around you, she'll touch you more frequently, and she'll even talk dirtier with you. She knows now that your sexual attention is not cheap, so she'll put more effort into these intimate encounters with you. The irresistible man does these exercises not to fall in line with the social imperative, but to enhance his own pleasure later, should he manage to end up in bed with that woman. And if he doesn't, he's spared himself from great disappointment by not playing a porno movie in his head and making a dream out of it that will never come true. It's about doing what's in his rational, long-term best interest, not about pleasing society.
Thank you for listening to this free sample of the book, Never Ghosted Again, The Art of Being Irresistible, by Cairo Copeland. If you enjoyed it and want to hear or read the rest, or want to listen to it free of ads, visit reinventideal.com/ghosted. The book is available on Kindle, paperback, and Audible at reinventideal.com/ghosted.